So Liverpool have just beaten Burnley away thanks to, well, Burnley just capitulating actually. For the entirety of the game, it was an exercise of trying to attack a low block and defending the odd counter-attack. I have a bunch of thoughts, immediate reactions I'm going to share with you in this video. 5 main talking points. If you're new here, I'm Laurence on Liverpool, a brand new Liverpool fan channel. Thank you so much for getting me past 1,000 subscribers already. I really appreciate it. More important than subscribing though is commenting down below. Share your thoughts with me. I love having a chat. So for talking point number 1, let's go straight into the real meat of the matter. We struggled with that low block, didn't we? Whilst I don't love the way Burnley played, that's kind of anti-football in my mind. They were very effective in keeping us at bay. We never looked like scoring. We never had one clear-cut opportunity even. There wasn't a single strike on goal where I was like, oh, the goalie just saved them there because otherwise that was a sure goal. Everything was a bit laborious. It was a bit static up front. We'll get into that a little bit, but let's talk about how we actually won it. Burnley, after holding us at bay for over 90 minutes, 95 minutes, I think it was when it happened, they gave a handball, and that was only a bunch of minutes after they had a red card. It was almost like they didn't believe they deserved to see this game out and get a 0-0 draw. They kind of threw it away. Thankfully for us, Salah, whilst not having the best start to the season, is still ice cold in front of goal there and put the penalty away, and now we come away with 3 points. Here's the big takeaway from it. Once again, mentality monsters. We never stop believing. All of Liverpool's 4 games so far, where we've got 4 wins out of 4, have come from very late winning goals, from the 85th minute onwards. Liverpool never say die. And once we get into our groove, if we're winning already all our games, once we get into our groove, I think it's fate that we're going to retain the Premier League. It seems so bizarre to say that after just 4 games, but if we're already racking up all the points, we're not playing well. Just wait until all these new boys gel and we start to really motor. Point number 2, let's get on to that, being frustrated by the low block. And the reason I think that happened is twofold. We had a tactic of recycling the ball in midfield where McAllister, some of you pull me up on calling him McAllister. He's Argentinian. Why can't we call him that? Anyway, McAllister and Gravenberch were passing the ball to each other left and right of that midfield too, just waiting for some movement up top. Hugo Ekitique, Florian Wirtz, Gakpo to come in, Salah to make some movement, and there really wasn't any. I could take 10 screenshots at various times in that first half where our attacking front line were just staying in their pockets. So then the ball would go out mostly to the left, not really to the right, mostly to the left back position where Kerkez, and then when Robbo came on, they would try these early crosses. But apart from Hugo Ekitique, there was no one in there to try and head the ball. And when I say early crosses, I just mean that the ball was crossed from a bit deeper, not from the left wing flank. So we just seemed to be out of ideas there. We didn't seem to have a free-flowing movement. Is that because the players don't know each other well enough? Or is that strategically being dictated to them by Slot? I'm unsure. But it did look very worrying because we will come across lots of teams that try to use that low block against us. We're the champions, right? A lot of the lower half of the table teams will try and frustrate us by playing very defensively and hit us on the counter-attack. There were a few counter-attacks they had that looked very promising. Thankfully, they didn't have the quality for the final ball or the dribbling to get past Virgil van Dijk, who was immense today. So we really have to have better ideas of how to break down that low block. One of the ways is something we saw in pre-season happen more often, but we've not seen so far in these 4 games, which is having Wirtz, Ekitique, Gakpo, Salah all interchanging positions. We did that more towards the end of the match where Salah came in, Gakpo came in, mainly because Rio and Gamora came on to take the left wing flank from Gakpo and Frimpong came on to take the right wing from Salah, so they became more central. We saw a bit more interchanging of positions there. I'd like to see that throughout the match when we're playing against a low block. They're highly intelligent attackers. They can look for space and deal with tight spaces, but that movement would drag defenders out of position, meaning we're causing more chaos and unpredictability for that low block team. We weren't doing that today. And I wonder if Slot will try and address that with the team, or if he wants that in place because that occupies the defending team more, because they're all focused on that attacking band, and maybe players like Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister can take advantage with long shots, although we weren't really trying many of those either. And because they were static and because the front line wasn't getting served much in that first half, Ekitique looked incredibly frustrated. I know he said all the right things about Isak joining. Hey, we're a big club, competition's great, I can't wait to play alongside him, all those sorts of things that sound very positive. He must have somewhere in the back of his mind, Isak's going to take my position I've had so far in these first 4 games once he's fully fit. I won't be the starting number 9 anymore. I might need to be sharing left wing minutes with Gakpo thereafter or waiting for cup competitions. And so there's pressure on Ekitique. I mean, there's pressure on these players every single match anyway, but a little bit of extra pressure on Ekitique. And the fact that the ball was just not getting to him from either any of these early crosses or from the ball being recycled in that midfield place, whilst Burnley players surrounded him, he could not get into the game. He could barely get a touch, really. And that was highly frustrating. When they walked off at half-time, the camera showed him visibly ranting and berating to himself. He was very animated, talking to himself as he was walking off into the changing rooms, annoyed at something. Was he annoyed at himself for his lack of movement? Because, as I say, that was partly the reason. They just couldn't find him. He wasn't moving enough. He was very static. Or was he frustrated that in the low block, he was just not getting any service? Very interesting to see how Ekitique plays in the next match, whether it's the same, whether it gets tweaked, whether Slot helps him by instructing certain types of movements, whether he figures that out on his own, because it won't be too many more matches before Isak is considered fully fit and able to start matches, or at least taking the last 20, 30 minutes away from Ekitique. And all you need then is Isak to bang in a goal or two when he does come on the pitch, and then it's over. Here's my third talking point. Kerkez. Now, Kerkez has not been brilliant since joining us. He's been full of heart. He's been full of endeavour, guts, hard work, racing up and down, really getting stuck in where he could do. Against Newcastle, he was physically overpowered for their goal, and his positioning has not always been the best. He's seemed a little bit rash. He's trying very, very hard, and sometimes that can produce rash performances where you over-try. And that happened when he was put through on goal, and instead of thinking, okay, the trajectory of the ball is taking me away from the goal, I might need to try and control it and bring it back in and find a player to square it to, he went for the dive. I'm sorry to say that, but Milos Kerkez, you definitely went for that dive. You weren't even touched, and you threw your legs up like you had been hacked. I don't like seeing that from any Liverpool player. I give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's that kind of player. I think he's just hasn't found his feet. He's not feeling overly confident in this Liverpool team. At Bournemouth, he was one of their stars. Here, I think he's feeling like he needs to match up to a higher level, and he's struggling to do that, which is causing a few reckless moments. The dive being one, rightfully booked, and then the foul just after the halfway line on a counter-attack. Now, I know he wanted to stop the counter-attack, but when you're already on a yellow card, that's a massive risk to take because it was a potential yellow card. And I think Slot felt Kerkez is acting a bit too rash in this game. I need to pull him before he gets that second yellow card, thereby getting a red card and really causing us problems for the rest of the game. They replaced him for Robbo. Robbo was fantastic coming on. He was solid defensively, very communicative. You can see him constantly communicating with players around him, which Kerkez doesn't really do. And the crosses from Robbo were of a much higher quality than the crosses Kerkez was putting in before then. Here's the worry. We've seen this happen where Slot pulled Jarell Quansah halfway through the first game of last season. He didn't start Quansah for another game for something like 20 matches, and that completely destroyed Quansah's confidence. And then every time Quansah did get some time in cup games or a few minutes here and there, he looked very nervy. I'm hoping for the young lad's sake that this doesn't happen to Kerkez. If we see Robbo start the next game, that might be a sign that this could be repeating. And then it's really a massive test of Kerkez's character, quality, and self-belief. I think Gerald Kwanzaa did succumb to the embarrassment and knock to his confidence that Slot pulling him at halftime in that game last season had on him. I really want to see Kerkez bite down and fight to become the first choice left back again. If Slot is now going to start playing Robbo, we may see Kerkez start the next game and be given a second chance, but it's quite rare for a player to be pulled before half-time, right? Of course, we're a team that's going to play many, many, many matches, so whatever happens, Ekitique will get his fair share of minutes, but I'm sure he doesn't want to be considered a backup to Isak and Gakpo. He wants to fight to be the main man. Every player at that level believes they can be the best in their position. Talking point number 4, is Szoboszlai quickly becoming our best right back? Way too early to say that. I know, I'm not stating he is. But his performance in that first half as right back was very solid. He was shutting down any runs in that space, and he was drifting into midfield like Trent used to do and picking out some passes. Once again, because it was a low block, those passes weren't as effective as you'd like to see, but Trent struggled with those too. He had one shot from a free ball where he stung the hands of the goalkeeper, but it was very central. You would have liked it to be much more to either the left or right-hand side to really test the goalkeeper. But defensively, he was doing everything you'd hope Bradley or Frimpong could do, maybe even better. The question is, if McAllister, I so want to call him McAllister, if McAllister and Gravenberch remain those solid midfield 2, Gravenberch a bit deeper, and Wirtz keeps his number 10 position, would you really pick Bradley or Frimpong over Szoboszlai? Or more importantly, would Slot pick Bradley or Frimpong over Szoboszlai? Once again, they'll get their fair share of minutes. All 3 players will get their fair share of minutes throughout the season, but who would be first choice? And after these performances from Szoboszlai, he might be staking a claim for him to be a first choice right back if he's not getting a spot in midfield. Do give me your thoughts on that below. How do you think Szoboszlai's performances, small sample, compared to Bradley and Frimpong, or are they to be used in different types of games? Frimpong is very attacking. Maybe he's more suited to games where we have a lot more open space and we're actually on the counter. So when we're playing some of the top teams and we want to counter down that right-hand flank, maybe Frimpong's the best there. Let me know your thoughts. Let's chat about it. And my 5th talking point of this match, and really our beginning of the season as a whole, is whilst Salah's got 2 goals and an assist, he has been marginalised far more than last season. I'm not saying he's been totally marginalised. He's Mohamed Salah. Of course, you're going to know where he is on the pitch and you're going to try and find him at times. But last season, he was a real focal point for our attack. Every player on the pitch, once breaking for a counter-attack or in position and looking how to start an attack, would be looking, where is Mo? Where's Mo? And can I get the ball to him? Or can I play a through ball for him to run onto? That doesn't feel the case. And that might be a conscious decision by Slot to make us less dependent on Salah, because he's going to be going away from for the African Cup of Nations. What if he gets an injury? What if he loses form? All sorts of things can happen. You don't want to be heavily reliant on one player to get you the vast majority of your assists and goals. And we were with Mo Salah. If we didn't have Mo Salah, there's no way we would have won the league last season. So Slot may be consciously trying to spread the load a bit more. And by doing that, we've actually seen a lot more activity happen on the left-hand side than on the right. Don't you think? Like Ekitique kind of drifts over onto the left. Gakpo's always there. There's a lot of play happening in that area. And where Wirtz has been kind of off the pace a bit, although to be fair to him, there was a chunk of about 20, 30 minutes in the second half where he was pulling the strings a lot more. I think we're starting to see Wirtz kind of grow into the number 10 for Liverpool that we want him to be. But still, majority of the activity happens on the left-hand side. Even those early crosses were coming from the left towards Ekitique, but Salah's never a target for those kinds of crosses. He's not a great header of a ball. He needs play to build up on the right to feed him in. And that wasn't happening. And so for me, he's been out of games for long periods in these first 4 games. That's his quality, that he's still there deciding matches, getting goals and assists. But I'd like to see the balance readdressed a bit more. The reason why he was our main focal point last season is because he is one of the best in the world. Don't move so far away from that we're biting off our nose to spite our face, where we're giving up on that special gift that we have in Mo Salah. Sure, look for Gakpo, look for Ekitique, look for Wirtz, look for Isaac when he comes on. But I still want it a little bit weighted towards Salah because Salah is still our main man. So to summarize, we struggled mightily against a low block. We protected ourselves against a counter-attack thanks to people like Virgil van Dijk, who was immense. We never really looked like conceding anything, but we also didn't look like scoring anything. It required a late capitulation by Burnley, red card on the end of the box, not long after, ridiculous handball, completely unnecessary, giving us a penalty for Liverpool to win. But we are 4 wins out of 4, top of the league, and not even playing well, really. Imagine when we hit our stride. I think we've got a great chance of retaining this league. Give me your thoughts below. If you've enjoyed this video, a like will also help. The thing about YouTube is these tiny channels like this one needs engagement for YouTube to then give more impressions and show it to more people who then may click on the video. So it's super important. I really need you to help support this channel if we're to keep growing. And for what you've done so far, I really appreciate it. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.